Hello friends of La Huertita de Toni, welcome to another video where today we continue planting shrubs or trees on the edges of our garden that will give us good fruit. In this case, I bring you the Feijoa, also known as the Brazilian Guava, and it is a delicious fruit, a shrub. Some people consider it a shrub, some consider it a tree. To be honest, I usually see them in Galicia. And it is grown more as a large shrub, okay? So it's ideal to place on the edge of our garden. As I mentioned, it is a slow-growing evergreen tree or shrub, but very resilient, and it can reach 3 to 5 meters in height. Although it is usually pruned to make it more compact and easier to harvest the fruit, it blooms in spring and the fruits ripen in autumn. Additionally, its flowers are edible and attract many pollinators, and the fruit is delicious. It has a taste between pineapple and guava. And in this video, I'm going to explain all the needs it has to develop perfectly, from how to plant it, what its needs are, and the risks. The first thing we need to consider is the sun exposure it requires. The Feijoa needs between 6 to 8 hours of light daily. That is to say, it is a plant that prefers to be in full sun, and even though it tolerates some partial shade, fruit production will be lower. So this place is perfect for planting it. The good thing about Feijoa is that it withstands temperatures from -9 degrees to 38, although its ideal temperature is more of a temperate climate between 15 and 25 degrees. It is true that it can develop in much hotter or much colder climates. If we have a lot of snow or many frosts in winter, it would be ideal to cover it like the tamarillo, which we have covered over there, so it withstands the frosts well. But as I tell you, it is a bit of an all-terrain, and the ideal planting season is in autumn or spring. We are about to start spring just a week away, so it's the perfect time to plant it. We'll avoid winter, especially if there are harsh winters and the plant is young, because it can burn it. Although, as I mentioned, it withstands them pretty well. This one has already endured quite a few frosts here on the farm, and as you can see, it is quite beautiful. But importantly, we do it in autumn or spring. As always, while I prepare the hole, I'll talk to you about the type of soil the Feijoa needs. The preparation of the soil when planting a shrub or a tree is a fundamental part of success. We need to make a hole at least twice the size of the pot, to then improve that soil and add it to the plant. This way, in the first few years, it will have everything it needs to develop. And regarding the soil that the Feijoa prefers, it prefers light, well-drained soils, rich in organic matter. This is why we are going to add quite a bit of cured cow manure, and it can adapt to clay and sandy soil types, but very importantly, in clay soils, the soil must drain very well, because if not, it can cause root rot damage, and it grows better in soils with a pH between 5.5 and 7. For this, it's ideal to measure the pH of our soil. We can do it at home, as I showed you in a video that I'll leave for you here, or buy a pH meter. Look at all the little worms left, huh? And if you've noticed, well, I have separated the soil. Here is the deeper soil, which is more clayey and harder. And here are the first 30 centimeters, which, as you see, is blacker, looser soil and full of life, right? You see, there are earthworms. This is something I'm starting to apply now. So I leave that soil unused as much, and I use this one. I mix it now with manure. And there we have the strawberry tree we planted last year. Here the goji. So the distance would be between 3 and 4 meters of separation between the trees. By the way, it's important when buying the plant at the nursery to be well informed, because there are Feijoas that are self-pollinating or self-fertile. That we only need one plant for it to bear fruit, and others need different plants to bear fruit, which is what happened to me in my little garden when I planted it at the time. I needed it has 2 Feijoa plants. This one is self-fertile, so it doesn't need more, although we already have 3 planted on the entire property. So to improve this soil, as I was saying, make it light, rich in organic matter, and well draining, we are going to add this manure. Look at this manure. Alrighty. Wow, we see it has an amazing pot effect, right? We have a lot of roots surrounding the entire pot. We're going to open a bit at the bottom to prevent the roots from continuing in that shape of growing, okay? And start to expand. We open a bit, perfect. Let's measure. Okay, see, we have double exactly, so we have to add quite a bit of soil from what we have already mixed. Okay, Mo. Check, most and first and perfect. I always like to leave it below the ground so that when it rains, the water accumulates here, and it's a much easier way to water because it waters through rain accumulations. So we move it a bit so it doesn't stay level with the grounds like this. Perfect, Mario. Do you see how it goes down a few centimeters? It doesn't have to be much, but for me, as I say, it's ideal. Now we simply have to fill it in with the soil we removed. Although this may seem like a lot of work when planting a tree, a shrub, any type of plant, the truth is they will appreciate it later. It will take us less work for future fertilization in spring. For example, all fruit trees benefit greatly from a spring fertilization, and this for the first 2 years, so to speak, will have it covered. A soil preparation is 50% of the success of the cultivation. And as always, after planting or sowing something, we will apply a very good watering so that the entire area settles, and the plant suffers less from the transplant. As for watering, the Feijoa is a shrub or tree resistant to drought, but if we want a good fruit production, it needs regular watering. In winter, spring and fall, we will water once a week. We will water once a week more or less if there is rain in our climate, and in summer or mid-spring and summer, we will increase watering to 2 to 3 times a week. Another reason why I do not leave the crop at ground level is because I always like to put a good layer of mulch, which will prevent competing weeds from competing against our tree in growth. It will also help us save water, preventing it from evaporating, and says among other things, it will improve our soil, as we are providing organic matter. So in this case, since I don't have tree trimming remains, we do it with straw as we are doing in all the fields. But you should know that you can use a lot of things. I'll leave a video here of this. Ayan, 7 elements that we can use for mulching almost for free. Meanwhile, I'll tell you a little bit about the most common diseases and pests that can attack the Feijoa. Among them is the famous aphid, which we already know how to combat with potassium soap. We have a video on my channel, and we also have the fruit fly when it's the season, fruiting stage. For them, we can use traps with vinegar or pheromones. Another more important pest, but only in warmer climates, is the scale insect. It is the scale insect which we can eliminate with neem oil. And regarding diseases, we might encounter downy mildew, well known in our region, which affects the leaves and fruits in very humid environments, and also root rot, which occurs if we overwater. So that's it, garden friends, a shrub, tree that we can place in our garden, in our orchard, on our property. It is also ideal for placing in the food forest. It associates very well with aromatic plants like lavender, rosemary, and especially because it will later give us its fruits. I tell you, this year I'm really focused on the topic of the food forest, and we are bringing many new crops to implement in the forest. However, I wanted to put this one here to make the video, but in the future I will be showing you more videos about the food forest. I think it's turning out pretty cool. So that's it, garden enthusiasts. I hope you liked the video, but most importantly, I hope it was useful for you, and see you next Thursday on La Huertina de Toni's channel. See you later.